All right, episode 68. We're just diving into this one. This week, a British gymnast, Bryony Page, won gold at the Olympics for trampolining. Now, you hear this and you're like, cool, whatever, right? Good for her. But she started getting some viral attention when the rest of the world found out that she studied paleontology in college, and more specifically, her thesis was on acoustic signaling in dinosaurs. And social media just kind of gravitated towards this when someone by the name of Dan Credentials tweeted, "Becoming a dinosaur scientist and winning a gold medal for jumping on a trampoline. Don't tell any 7-year-old their dreams are out of reach," which to me is hilarious, right? You hear, I like jumping on trampolines and dinosaurs, and that's something you'd only expect a child to say when you ask them, like, what do you want to do when you grow up? But needless to say, it kind of got me thinking. So today we're analyzing the many different kind of angles behind the question, what do you want to be when you grow up? My niece is 4 years old. Well, if you ask her, she would say 4.5 specifically and call that out. But the last that I know of, her answer to this question was that she wants to be a volcanologist, someone who studies volcanoes. It seems a bit odd, very unique. I'm not sure if there's a high demand for this job, but you never know. Definitely a very hot occupation, literally, and I suppose potentially dangerous at times. But overall, I would assume a very well-respected occupation and a good goal to have. If you were to ask me what I wanted to be when I grew up in my earlier days, I assume I would have said something much more immature like Spider-Man or maybe a professional athlete. Both, unfortunately, were probably equally impossible for me to achieve given my coordination and athletic abilities and small stature. I suppose I could make a case for having Peter Parker-like qualities, however, it'd just be prior to the spider bite. But I never really leaned in toward a specific profession, or at least I can't recall that I ever did. I went into college saying, well, I guess I'll get a business degree, and more specifically, I'll gear toward marketing because I thought this was the most kind of creative aspect of business. And as a kid, even into my teenage years, social media really just wasn't even like a profession yet. And personally, I don't think even today it's that well respected of a career path. It's typically like an entry-level work. I think in most cases, you're giving it to an intern or a social media coordinator. As of the last few years, though, I think that's definitely starting to change a little bit, though, as companies are starting to really see the influence that social media can have on a business. There's actually been some really interesting articles and narratives floating around within the last year that today's social media professionals could potentially fill roles in tomorrow's C-suite positions. Some marketing professionals are arguing that because the job manages aspects like creative and analytics and community management, these social media managers and directors know the customer base better than anyone else really in the marketing division. They know what works and they know what they want. Within the social media realm, though, there are a lot of different paths you can take. For example, there's content creation, there's influencer marketing, there's paid social media marketing, which are all pretty different. But after 5+ years of this, in my personal experience, I still don't know really what I want to do. My wife, on the other hand, for as long as I've known her, her answer to this question is immediately, I want to be a doctor. I've known her since we were 17, and this was always her goal, assuming this was also her childhood dream. That's pretty amazing to think that she accomplished it, right? The majority of people really don't do that. But when I started looking into this, what I found very interesting is kind of the evolution of childhood dreams and how kids' aspirations have changed over the decades. For the millennial generation, you probably heard things like doctors, astronauts, firefighters, professional athletes, and maybe like a performer, like an actor or a singer. But in today's society, some of those highly just sought after jobs have changed. Now a large portion of kids want to be social media influencers, streamers, or video gamers or video game developers. According to a 2019 study, 57% of Gen Zers said they would like to become an influencer if given the chance. Gen Z is currently roughly between the ages of 12 and 27 years old right now. And to me, that makes sense. Honestly, I would think that'd be a lot higher than what it is. It's fame, it's money, and from the outside looking in, it's a minimal amount of work. One of the analysts involved in the study said the number one thing driving Gen Z's interest in influencing as a career is the ability to make money, followed closely by being able to work flexibly and doing fun work. And an influencer or streamer is essentially their own boss, right? They get the freedom to decide when they want to work or how hard they want to work, while money can passively stream in as they just rack up more and more views. Personally, I think it would be much more difficult to be an influencer than the average person would assume, especially kids. You need to keep your community engaged. You need to find ways to stay relevant so your content doesn't get stale. There's more competition now more than ever. You see people like Mr. Beast who's having to spend millions and millions of dollars on content ideas just to stay relevant. You can get canceled at any second for a rumor or miscommunication that could have potentially been out of your control. Cancel culture is probably, that would be my biggest fear, I think, out of all of these. And then depending on kind of what you're putting out there, some of these people are getting personally attacked in the comment section on a daily basis, which I would assume would have a pretty kind of extreme impact on your mental health. Just this week, a logo and graphic designer that I follow posted a story asking people to stop sending him death threats. This dude he's a fucking graphic designer. He's not putting content out there that's controversial or negative in any way, but I guess that's just like the name of the game. People will try to bring you down just because you decided to click the publish button. Comes with the territory, in my opinion, but definitely something to look out for. And I think that is like a lot to handle, which I think most people overlook and say, well, it's worth the fame and the money that they get in return. There was another study in 2021 that looked at the dream jobs of U.S. teenagers, and they took it a step further and they looked at results based on gender. So these are the top 5 male dream job occupations based on percentages. First, professional athlete, YouTuber, streamer, musician, professional gamer, and doctor or nurse, which to me sounds odd to lump doctor and nurse together. Like, sure, it's in the same field, but pretty different in terms of education and salary. But anyways, the top 5 female dream jobs were doctor, nurse, actress, musician, artist, and YouTuber or streamer as well. Pretty interesting, right? I thought it was funny how the female group led with the sector that focused on helping other people, but for the male group, that ranked 5th out of all of them. Their dream jobs, I guess, are a little more self-serving, I guess, which is totally fine, but kind of funny. But when does reality set in, and when do those dreams just simply remain dreams? A few times a year, you'll catch like a news story, right, about a 75-year-old grandmother graduating from college or something like that. But there are like a handful of people, I'd say, who devote their lives to just lifelong learning, and they're brave enough to start again despite their age. And it made me think, if someone were to ask you today, no matter your age, what do you want to be when you grow up? Like, would your answer be your current occupation? I would assume for most people it wouldn't. Statistics from the Labor Department's Bureau of Labor Statistics, which is an insane mouthful, stated only 14% of Americans believe they have a great job and would not change it, which is extremely low. The same study reported that work accounts for roughly 13 and a half years of most people's lives in today's day and age. So you might as well try to find something that you enjoy, right? I mean, no matter what you choose, there's going to be parts of your job that you're not going to like. My wife is absolutely miserable right now, even with her dream job. But I don't think there's an occupation where you'll love every aspect to it. That's why you're getting paid to do it. It is a job. If there is this, please let me know, and I will happily hop in and join the bandwagon. Personally, though, I've always admired people who adopted a side hustle, though. Like, keep your day job, but then find a hobby that you really enjoy. And if there's a way to monetize it while still finding satisfaction from doing that, then do that. This is what a lot of creators do in today's day and age. Start making content, doing something you love to do, then grow a following, and then when the time is right, you can turn that into your career if you want to. I think someone like Daniel Williams is a great example of this. This dude just started making videos of him smoking a joint, and then he made some new and unique food in his apartment, and now he's got over 2 million followers on Instagram alone, and it's his full-time job, which is pretty cool. At almost 30 years old, though, if I were to just do it all over again, I'd like to think that I'd probably play around with the idea of going the culinary route and doing something there. It's very different from what I do now. But it's creative, it's fast-paced, the lifestyle is a little grungy, and there's like a hustle culture to it, which I like. I think it's also an industry where you build really strong, just solid, lifelong relationships, which I think is cool. And to me, all of that is very intriguing. I don't have a very sophisticated palate, I'd say, but hopefully that would come in time. But that's all I've got for this week. Let Bryony Page be an inspiration to you. Don't give up on those childhood dreams. If you like dinosaurs and jumping on trampolines, then damn it, you gotta chase that, you know? Anyways, thank you for listening. And yeah, with that, I will talk to you next week.